No one seems to notice the good stuff. Sometimes, no matter how hard you try, no matter what great things you're doing, and how much you're kind to others, it seems that no one notices. You can put all your efforts into something that is perhaps charitable or even helping a family member out. It's possibly a huge amount of time and money to help others, and you don't get any thanks, or at least you don't get an appropriate thanks. So is it worth doing something that you're not appreciated for? Sometimes you can do the right thing and even be condemned for doing that. Imagine cooking a wonderful meal, spending half the day preparing it and cooking it. You present it with pride. The person who's eaten it finds every fault in it, and after eating it all says, "Thanks, it was nice, but perhaps next time you'll get it right." Maybe you spend hours getting ready for a charity evening out which you've organised, and you think you're looking pretty swell, but just before you leave you're told your outfit is it's not right, perhaps you should try something else. Perhaps you'll spend weeks of your life in an effort to raise money for charity, but the people you thought would donate don't bother. You feel unnoticed and underappreciated. Imagine feeling this disappointment nearly every day. You give good advice, but none is taken. You're a good person, but no one's really interested in that. People can be thoughtless and cruel, condemning and callous. Some people will ditch you when you're at your lowest ebb, when you're trying so hard to be that good person. It's a very true saying that when you're up in life, when you've got loads of money or have good status, that everybody wants to be your friend. Also, when you do something wrong or make a mistake, people often remember that, often for years. Good things just, well, they seem to be forgotten about. So why bother? Why invest in people if people don't seem to invest in you? Not financially invest. I'm talking about an investment of love and heart. Why buy the man on the street a coffee and a sandwich? Why not just walk past and ignore them, or tell them they should go and get a job? Why try to be a good human if no one is really a good human to you? Why try to understand others if you feel that people don't understand you? If no one notices the good stuff, then why do it? Here is why. When you do something good, you are adding a value to yourself that money cannot buy. When you donate your time to others, then you are adding value to your very soul. And if a person mocks you for your good efforts or charitable offerings, it's because, well, they don't understand such values. It's hard to do good things sometimes. It's very easy to have a pop at someone. Don't ever give up being good and giving yourself to others, no matter what others say or do. No matter what they call you, or what they have said to others about you, never stop caring when others don't care for you. don't stop believing that God will reward you. And don't think that Jesus doesn't know all the good work you do. You will be rewarded for your kindness. Just think of the words Jesus said on the cross. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Don't lose faith in yourself. When they laugh, just be still and know that their condemnation will return to them by another even less thoughtless person than themselves. Dear Father, please help me accept that when I do good things, they may not always be recognized. Help me accept that those that don't share my love of caring and other people can be dismissive of charity and love. Please help me to continue even when it feels that no one is really interested in my efforts of care. Help me to understand that the good stuff I do is looked upon graciously by you, Father, and that those who condemn me do not have this care or love in their hearts to perceive this. Father, thank you for the pleasure I receive in doing good and in caring for others. Help me continue when I don't feel like it. Grant me the tenacity to keep going, regardless of spiritual attack. Amen. Today's reading is Matthew chapter 14. The death of John the Baptist. At that time, Herod, the Tetrarch, heard about the fame of Jesus, and he said to his servants, "This is John the Baptist. He's been raised from the dead. That is why these miraculous powers are at work in him." For Herod had seized John and bound him and put him in prison for the sake of Herodias, his brother Philip's wife, because John had been saying to him, "It is not lawful for you to have her." And though he wanted to put him to death, he feared the people, because they held him to be a prophet. But when Herod's birthday came, the daughter of Herodias danced before the company and pleased Herod, so that he promised with an oath to give her whatever she might ask. Prompted by her mother, she said, "Give me the head of John the Baptist, here on a platter." And the king was sorry. But because of his oaths and his guests, he commanded it to be given. He sent and had John beheaded in the prison, and his head was brought on a platter and given to the girl. And she brought it to her mother. And his disciples came and took the body and buried it. And they went and told Jesus. Jesus feeds the 5,000. Now when Jesus heard this, he withdrew from there in a boat to a desolate place by himself. But when the crowds heard it, they followed him on foot to the towns. When he went ashore, he saw a great crowd, and he had compassion on them and healed their sick. Now when it was evening, the disciples came to him and said, "This is a desolate place, and the day is now over. Send the crowds away to go into the villages and buy food for themselves." But Jesus said, "They need not go away. You give them something to eat." They said to him, "We only have 5 loaves here and 2 fish." And he said, "Bring them here to me." Then he ordered the crowds to sit down on the grass, and taking the 5 loaves and 2 fish, he looked up to heaven and said a blessing. Then he broke the loaves and gave them to his disciples, and the disciples gave them to the crowds. And they all ate and were satisfied. And they took up 12 baskets full of broken pieces left over. And those who ate were about 5,000 men, besides women and children. Jesus walks on the water. Immediately, he made the disciples get into the boat and go before him to the other side, while he dismissed the crowds. And after he had dismissed the crowds, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. When evening came, he was there alone. But the boat by this time was a long way from the land, beaten by waves, for the wind was against them. And in the 4th watch of the night he came to him, walking on the sea. But when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified and said, "It's a ghost." And they cried out in fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, "Take heart, it is I. Do not be afraid." And Peter answered him, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." He said, "Come." So Peter got out of the boat and walked on the water and came to Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me." Jesus immediately reached out his hand and took hold of him, saying to him, "O you of little faith, why do you doubt?" And when they got into the boat, the wind ceased, and those in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God." Jesus heals the sick in Gennesaret. And when they had crossed over, they came to the land at Gennesaret. And when the men of the place recognized him, they sent around to all the region and brought to him all who were sick, and implored him that they might only touch the fringe of his garment, and as many as touched it were made well. There's certainly a lot goes on in Matthew 14. And I suppose we have 4 main events. The first, the death of John the Baptist. The second, Jesus feeds the 5,000. Then Jesus walks on water. And then Jesus heals the sick in Gennesaret. Chronologically, you look at that and you think, so Jesus' best friend was beheaded, or one of his best friends was beheaded, and then immediately afterwards he does 3 amazing things. He feeds the 5,000, he shares what little there is between the people. Then he walks on water. And then one of the passages in that says, "O ye of little faith, why do you doubt?" And then he heals the sick, just proving that despite this horrible event, these horrible things that go on in life, and he was still able to do these amazing things. And I definitely feel that there's a lesson to be learned there.